ding, ding, ding. I'm sure I did that 100% correct. Welcome back to another Celebrity Sweets. New Year's Eve is right around the corner, so that means 2019 is almost here. Now, one way that I like to celebrate the new year is to watch the ball drop in Times Square, and I think the ball kind of looks like a disco ball. And I'm still chained to the rhythm. Yeah, I know, Katycat, blah blah blah. So, in honor of New Year's Eve, we are going to be making a Katy Perry chained to the rhythm inspired cake pop. It's going to be a rose-colored Confetti cake that we're going to add some sprinkles and some rose color to, because like the main character in the video, his name's Rose. So the things you'll need to make this Confetti cake will be 1 1/8 cup of all-purpose flour, 1 cup of granulated sugar, 6 tablespoons of butter, 3 large eggs, but we'll only be needing the whites, 1 teaspoon of salt, 1 teaspoon of rose water, gray candy melt, this is just white and black combined, half a cup of milk, 3 tablespoons of pink buttercream frosting, rose-colored sprinkles, and pink food coloring. The first thing we want to do is in a small bowl separate out our eggs. Again, we want the white, so just jiggle the white into the bowl, keeping the yolk in the shell. Next, add in your milk and your rose water. I set our wet ingredients off to the side, and now in a large bowl, combine your flour, sugar, baking powder, and salt. Once your dry ingredients are combined, now we want to add in our butter and mix it up until crumbly. So we've mixed together our dry ingredients and our wet ingredients, so now we can incorporate them. Add half of the wet ingredients into the dry and mix it up for 1 minute. Then add the other half of the wet into the dry and mix it up for 30 seconds. Once your cake batter is mixed and it's smooth, then add in a few drops of pink food coloring. Again, we just want to turn this a light pink rose color. So put your rose colored sprinkles in and mix it up. So our cake is ready to go into the oven. Over here I've got a 9-inch circle pan that I've greased and lined with a little bit of parchment paper just so the cake doesn't stick. Just pour all of the cake into that pan. Now place this into the oven at 350 degrees for 20 to 25 minutes. So I took our cake out of the oven and I let it cool completely. This is very important when making cake pops. You want a cool cake. This cake is actually perfect for making cake pops because the cake is moist, which will keep the particles of the cake together, but it's also crumbly so we can shape it. I've also removed the caramelization from the outside of the cake. This is like the brown strip that forms when we bake. That just makes for a tastier cake pop. I put the cake into a bowl and now we're going to crumble the cake. Our cake is all crumbled and now I want to add in our buttercream and mix it up with our hands. Our cake is all crumbled and now we can start to shape them. To do this, I like to use some sort of measurement to make sure that all the cake balls are roughly the same size. I'm going to be using a tablespoon. There'll be 2 tablespoons worth of cake in every cake pop. Just scoop 2 tablespoons of the cake, roll it around in your hand, and place it on a plate. I've rolled out all of our cake pops and I made about 14 of them. 13 normal sized ones and then a tiny one. Over here I've melted down our candy melts. They've turned a nice light gray. And I've also got some lollipop sticks, so now we want to secure our lollipop sticks to our cake pops. To do this, take your lollipop stick and dip it into the candy melts. Then take that stick and place it into one of your cake pops. The candy melts on our lollipop sticks have firmed, so now we can move on to the next step. Over here I've melted down a second batch of light gray candy melts. This batch I smoothed out using some coconut oil. One tip in making cake pops is you want smooth candy melt coating, because if the candy melts are too hard, you'll actually just pull the cake right off the stick. You don't want that. I've also got a styrofoam stand to stick the cake pops in to let them dry. Just take one of your cake pops and insert it into the candy melts, drizzle off the excess, and then stick it onto your styrofoam stand. While our candy melt coating is setting on our cake pops, I want to work on the last detail, which is going to be some fondant that we're going to wrap them in to make like the little disco ball squares. To do this, I've made some gray marshmallow fondant, and we're just going to start by rolling it out. I've laid down a cutting board because we are going to cut it out once we're done rolling. Start by sprinkling a little bit of powdered sugar onto your cutting board or workstation. Place on the fondant, Sprinkle a little bit more powdered sugar and roll out the fondant, about 1/4 of an inch thick. Once you've rolled out your fondant, now we want to cut them into squares. Take a sharp knife and cut strips about 1 centimeter thick. Then turn the fondant around and cut strips the opposite way, about 1 centimeter thick. So our candy melt coating has hardened, and now we can start to assemble these cake pops. Over here I've got our square strips that I've just put into a bowl, and a little bit of water and a paintbrush to help the fondant stick. Start by taking one of your cake pops and brush a little bit of water on the outside. Then take your square strips and layer it all around the cake pop, going in the same direction to look like a disco ball. After you've coated all of your cake pops with fondant, now you want to add one more fondant detail, because after all we are chained to the rhythm, so we need a chain, and like in the teaser video, the disco ball was like chained to her leg. So what we want to do is roll a thin coil of fondant, cut it in half and twist them together. Then take our little chain and attach it to the top of our disco ball. Now these cake pops do look like disco balls, but there's one thing I think they're missing, and that's their sparkle. So we are going to add a little bit of luster dust. Over here I've got some edible highlighter or luster dust and some almond extract. You can use any clear extract to do this. Just take a little bit of your edible highlighter and add it to the almond extract. Now, using a paintbrush, we want to paint it on to our cake pops. And here we have them, our New Year's inspired chained to the rhythm cake pops that we made today to look like sparkly disco balls. We took a rosewater Confetti cake that we've made and crumbled it into a bowl and shaped them to look like these cake pops. Then coated them in some candy melts and added some fondant decorations on the outside. And of course we can't forget about the glitter. This is a perfect New Year's treat and Katy Perry inspired treat. And if you would like to make it, remember the recipe is in the description below. Also, if you happen to make this, please share it with me on Instagram at Celebrity Sweets. I also post exclusive content, behind the scenes things, and even more treats there, so follow. Also, new videos are uploaded every Thursday, so don't forget to like, subscribe, and ring the bell so you never miss an update. Until next time, have a happy New Year's, savor life, and make it sweet.